Thank you for joining us on Table Talk. I'm Mark McCarthy with the Star Herald, and I'm joined today by Lieutenant Philip Eckerberg with the Scottsbluff Police Department. Phil is a longtime member of the department and is here today to talk with us about ordinances regarding fireworks and fireworks safety in the community. Phil, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So fireworks sales began on Thursday. Can you share with our viewers the ordinances regarding the discharge of fireworks?
Well, there are both state laws and city ordinances. For the most part, the city ordinances mirror state law with a couple of exceptions. One thing that is exclusive to Scottsbluff and other communities may have a similar ordinance with slightly different times, and some communities may not have this ordinance, is the times of discharge. And in Scottsbluff, fireworks are only allowed to be discharged from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. The June 25th through July 3rd. On July 4th, that is allowed to go through to midnight. And that is one unique Scottsbluff ordinance. Gearing has a similar ordinance, but I believe the times are slightly different for Gearing. So you'd have to check with Gearing to see what their exact times are. Okay. But that is the one exclusive Scottsbluff ordinance. Otherwise, fireworks can be sold June 25th through July 4th. Okay. From midnight to midnight.
The Scottsbluff ordinance also has some restrictions on the areas where they can be discharged. So what are some of the areas where fireworks are not allowed to be discharged?
First and foremost is city parks. Any city park property, this would include the cemetery, Riverside, the city campground, any city-owned property you can't discharge fireworks on. Monument Valley Pathways would be part of that. The mini park downtown at 18th and Broadway, none of those areas can have fireworks discharged on them. Okay. And then there's also rules for sidewalks and streets that you can't throw them on those as well.
Can you talk about some of the other ordinances that apply to fireworks? Like, we know that you can't throw them from a vehicle, but what are some of the other ones?
That's one specific, is you can't throw them at a moving vehicle or from a vehicle. You also can't shoot them in a hazardous location or shoot them at a person. So that would be some other rules. And the biggest rule is the times of discharge. And you can do them from 8 to 10.
Okay. What kind of response has the police department seen from the ordinances in the past, and have you issued citations for these things?
And we have, yes. Our biggest generator of complaints is the time of discharge. Basically starting at 10 o'clock, we'll have to go around and handle multiple calls every evening. Our standard practice is that we will go and initially we'll remind the resident that hey, by the way, it's after 10 o'clock, you got to shut down your fireworks. We would appreciate it if people would keep an eye on their watches and not make us have to go over and tell them. If we have a chronic offender that seems to be doing the same thing night after night, then we will issue a citation for that. But generally speaking, we will go and verbally tell the person, hey, you can't be discharging your fireworks. It's 10:05 and it's time to shut it down for the evening. And so we'll let them know that. Typically we'll let them know that first, but if it is someone who has a history of this, then we'll start taking enforcement. Then I also have, I personally have issued some citations for people for throwing fireworks at vehicles or from vehicles. Typically our cruise route on Friday and Saturday nights, Broadway and 27th Street, you'll have people out cruising that think it's cool to throw the fireworks from the vehicle or shoot fireworks at other vehicles, and I don't give warnings for that.
Right.
So, and I have issued some citations on that over the years.
If someone has a complaint about fireworks, what's the best way for them to contact the police?
The best way to call us is our non-emergency number. We'd like to keep 911. There's only a certain number of 911 lines available, so we have to keep that available for emergencies. Our non-emergency number is 308-632-7176. That hooks up to our dispatchers at the communication center, and they will dispatch. And please don't call us before 10 because we can't. The ordinance doesn't take effect until 10 o'clock. So.
On its Facebook page and in the upcoming Ask a Cop, the police department has been sharing some other messages, albeit not ordinances, but messages regarding fireworks this year. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I certainly can. Be considerate of your neighbors. And 4th of July is my favorite holiday. I love shooting fireworks, but at the same time, you need to be considerate of the people around you. Make sure your dogs, even my own dog, before we go start shooting fireworks, I put him inside in his kennel so that it didn't make him nervous. I make sure the cats are inside so they're not scared by that Make sure my neighbors are okay, and just be considerate. Another thing to be considerate is pick up your trash afterwards. Fireworks leaves a lot of debris behind. Go sweep up the area, collect the fireworks into one spot. Don't put them inside because they may still have some hot embers in them, and there have been fires caused by people putting their used fireworks in a trash can and throwing that inside the garage, and they can flare up. You might want to consider dousing them. Another thing that I always do when I shoot fireworks, I have a garden hose immediately available. The water's already turned on. All I gotta do is grab my nozzle and press the handle, and I've got water going. So if I do inadvertently start a fire, which I never have, but then I'm ready to put it out immediately before it gets too big. And that's another thing I recommend. And again, just be considerate of your neighbors. Not everybody enjoys fireworks, so make sure that you don't be rude to them.
Cause a disruption in the neighborhood.
And another ordinance, another law I have to mention, which isn't thought about a lot, since we are just 20 miles from the state of Wyoming, it is illegal in Nebraska, and this is in a state law, to import fireworks from another state. So even if you go to Torrington and you buy fireworks that are available in Nebraska, but they may be a lower price over there or something, it's still illegal for you to buy those in Torrington and bring them across the state line unless you have the appropriate license, and very, very few people have that.
Right.
Have that license. You're going to be in the fireworks business to have one of those. So most consumers aren't going to be able to legally transport fireworks across state line. Even if there are fireworks that are also available in Nebraska, you have to buy them in Nebraska.
And that goes the other way around too. You can't buy fireworks in Nebraska and take them to Wyoming either.
I'm not familiar with Wyoming laws, but I'm betting that's probably, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Okay. Especially during the Independence Day holiday, but in summertime in general, are there other areas that law enforcement is concerned about? Yes,
well, and we have this issue with any time of the day or the year, but certainly holidays are more of an issue, and particularly 4th of July holiday, just because it's warm and everybody's outside. We have a lot of problems with substance abuse, alcohol being the most commonly abused substance. We have a lot of problems with fights and disturbances. We'll have issues with loud music, complaints, people having get-togethers, and then open container violations. You're having a party, the guest can't leave your property with with an open can of beer and drive down the street or walk home with that open can. They gotta leave it on your property. You obviously can't have any open beer or any open alcohol containers in any city parks as well, same as fireworks. And of course the drinking and driving. We always have an uptick of DUI incidents during any holiday, but especially 4th of July.
So folks having a party, I'm sure you would encourage setting up designated drivers or make sure rides are available for people.
Make sure you have a way for those people to get home. And that also applies to discharging of fireworks. Make sure you have a sober person that's doing those fireworks.
Yeah.
And I kind of treat fireworks like I'm going to the firearms range when I have my displays at home. I have eye and ear protection because they're loud, and I know one of the most common fireworks injuries is to the eyes. So you make sure you're protecting your eyes and your ears, just like you would if you went to a firearms range. And just if you're going to the firearms range, you wouldn't go to the firearms range drunk. Don't be discharging fireworks when you're intoxicated as well. And so that's another piece of advice I give people.
Right. Does law enforcement think that smaller celebrations or even canceled celebrations will reduce impaired driving this year?
I don't know if it would. The biggest problem is just controlling your drinking when you do have a celebration. Don't drink excessively, and make sure you have a means to go home, but it only takes one person. So I don't care how small your celebration is, if one person has had too much to drink and they don't have a way to get back to where they belong, impaired driving is going to be a problem.
We've covered quite a bit of ground, but is there anything else that you can think of that we should point out, or messages you want to get out to the people?
To make safety a priority. That goes from everything, making sure you have enough to drink as far as water goes, so you don't suffer a heat injury. It's going to be hot on 4th of July. The old saying is hotter than the 4th of July, and it is, and so make sure you have plenty of water for people to drink so we don't have any heat strokes or heat exhaustion injuries. Just be safe, make sure the little kids are supervised, or we're considering not letting them actually be the one that lights the fuse. Even things as you would think as simple as a sparkler are very, very hot when they burn, and they can do some serious injuries. If you have someone mishandling that, so. Go out and have a good time, but engage brain before you do anything else.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us, Lieutenant, and those of us at the Star Herald would like to wish everybody a safe and happy holiday.